Welcome back to the Flippin' Ain't Easy channel. Some things that I wanted to sort of expound upon from my video last week as it pertains to managed payments. There's some other things that I've uncovered just kind of doing some research and checking into some of the changes that are taking place starting July 20th. So if you're an eBay seller, you might want to hear some of the things that I've come across and sort of learned today for the first time. So without any further ado, let's go. So as you heard in my introduction, I'm going to be talking today about managed payments. I'm also going to talk to you about a few things that I've uncovered that interest me as a seller and definitely should interest you as a seller as well. The first thing that you'll notice is that for managed payments, and this is from what I understand already happening for managed payments, us managed payment sellers who are currently in the program can offer GSP Shipping, which is the global shipping program with eBay. And for those of you who don't know what that is, essentially it allows you as a seller to ship an item to Erlanger, Kentucky, and then what happens is eBay, unbeknownst to us, where that customer is actually at in the world, they will charge that customer a set fee to ship it from Erlanger, Kentucky to whatever country that they're in. I will not be using that program, and I'll tell you why. I accept returns, and on international returns, I don't accept returns, only domestic returns. But even that, if I sell a package to somebody, let's say overseas, you name the country, it doesn't matter, and I even have no international returns, no returns at all for international sales, yet they want to claim a false SNAD claim or item not as described or significantly not as described, I have to take that return. In addition, I'm not paying for a label from Erlanger, Kentucky to my location in the United States. No. I am paying for a label from wherever that customer resides, okay? And it may be, $20, $30, $40, $50 label. I have no idea. And I have to figure that out. eBay doesn't give me a tool to go in and select a label, a prepaid label that's maybe charged to my account. eBay doesn't do that. And so I have to figure that out. I have to figure out a label and or reimburse the customer. If they want to ship it to me, I reimburse the customer. Not only that, I have to give a refund of the item, and I have to give a refund of the shipping that they paid to eBay for that item. Okay, so I am totally out. It may be a $50 item, but by the time I'm done, it's a $150 item. So I'm not interested in that program. Yes, it may help increase your sales, but I'm not interested in the headaches. And I've dealt with this before, and it worked out exactly as I described. I sold somebody, I believe they were in a Middle Eastern country. I'm not sure exactly which one. They claimed that I sold them a Microsoft tablet. Okay, it's one of those Surface tablets. I tested this thing out. It was perfect. I shipped it to that person. They used it for a week, and then he said that it stopped working. Well, first of all, as sellers, we don't provide warranties for an item. So once that item's working, that should be pretty much it. They need to deal with the manufacturer when it comes to a warranty. However, they threw a big enough fit with eBay that I was forced to take the return and paid all the fees that I described, and it was just a nightmare. So I'm not doing that again. I did receive a message from one of you shortly after I created the managed payments video last week, and telling me that the option to charge your label to your existing pending balance, so that's the balance that eBay has not yet paid you in managed payments. So remember, With managed payments, what happens is eBay takes the money and they are processing payments in many cases. Sometimes the payment is instantaneous, maybe like a PayPal payment with an actual balance being sent, right? But sometimes it's a credit card, and they have to actually make sure that payment posts and processes before they cut you that payment to your bank, okay? And so if you have a pending funds, and you'll usually have pending funds, if I want to buy a label for my shipping through eBay, they will then deduct that money for the labels that I buy from that pending balance, so that when they send the money to my bank, it may not be the $200, let's say, that they've been holding. It might be like $150, depending on how much I actually spend on labels. With that said, you can also choose to use your PayPal balance if you'd rather pay for your labels that way instead of your pending balance. But I got to tell you, once July rolls around, please know that you will not be accepting PayPal payments at all. It's almost useless to have a PayPal account unless you're using that to buy items on eBay. But yeah, as a seller, it's not really something that you're going to be using. So really, I don't plan on having anything to do with PayPal after this transition takes place. Here's another one that I found that is very interesting to me. I've had GoDaddy bookkeeping for quite some time, and I'm finding out that there either is or very soon will be a way to export your data, your sales data, from eBay directly into GoDaddy bookkeeping. And up to this point, I've pretty much had to take the data from my credit cards or whatever I use to pay eBay and do it that way. And I know that what I had disabled before was the individual charges. Every time there was a sale, every charge would show up on my GoDaddy account, and we're talking about thousands of entries. So I turned that off. It was just too much to look at. This here is supposed to be just one file, which would basically look like your invoice for the month, and it will send that information to GoDaddy. So it's a lot cleaner and a lot easier to look at. So I'm excited to see that, and that'll make my life a little bit easier when it comes to my accounting. So another change that I talked about in the video was something that really bothered me, and I'll just go ahead and briefly touch on it again, and that is PayPal currently, for those of you who accept PayPal, charges a 3% processing fee on your payment, okay? Once this program for managed payments rolls out, eBay is going to charge you 2.1% for a payment processing fee. It's the same fee that PayPal is currently charging you. Well, right now, for those of you who accept PayPal, that 3% is non-refundable on any refunds or cancellations. They keep it. Could be a $100 item. That $3 is being taken away from you. If that customer, after buying the item, comes back after maybe seeing a competitor, eBay has a habit of showing their competitors' items after they've bought yours, right? They see a competitor's item for a little bit cheaper. They then come to you and ask for a cancellation. Well, if you accept that cancellation, you're out that $3 on the $100 item. Well, with managed payments, come July, that 2.1% now becomes non-refundable. Us sellers who are currently in managed payments get that money refunded currently. But for everyone, starting July 20th, from what I understand, it's the 20th of July, that cancellation, that refund, could be totally something out of your control, right, is going to be non-refundable. And so you're going to be paying eBay $2.10 on that $100 item every time that customer wants to cancel, or every time that customer wants to send back that return. And it could be a false item not as described. It could be totally something that customer maybe made a mistake, bought the wrong item, They're sending it back. If you accept returns, well, guess what? You will actually have to give them a full refund, but 2.1% is actually coming out of your pending funds. So just keep that in mind. Another change with managed payments, something I found out this evening, eBay is going to charge you for your final value fees as you go, meaning that if I sell an item tonight, that final value fee, let's say, I guess it's like 12.5%, whatever it is, with their processing fee, 2.1%, and like 9%, roughly 9 point something percent for your final value fee. That is going to be deducted from your pending funds. So once that's deducted, they'll send the balance to your checking account. That's good in a sense of, I'm personally dealing with $1,500 monthly eBay fees, right, that I pay just in one shot. But of course, it's kind of painful to do that. This is not as painful, and I know that some of you were sort of worried about that, and this is going to be deducted as you go. So that is one, in my opinion, good thing that is happening with managed payments. If I was to say there's anything happening that's decent with managed payments, as far as changes go, that would be the only change that I could really point to and say, that's better. So one final thing I want to tell you about managed payments, and it's very important. You have roughly a month and a half to get ready for managed payments, okay? And for those of you who are waiting, I totally understand you putting it off to the last minute. But one thing I would really urge you not to put off is making sure you have a checking account. There's many online banks. You don't even have to leave your house. I believe like ING and some credit unions, maybe even some larger bank chains will allow you to open up an account from the safety of your home. And this way, when the rollout comes, you will actually be ready to accept payments. Because if you do not have that bank account information to give eBay, you won't be enrolled in managed payments. They have to have a way of sending your payments. Now, from what I understand, you're going to be able to select daily payments, or if it's easier for you to reconcile weekly payments, that can all be set up with eBay. So you'll be given that option. There are a few changes that I want to tell you about that really aren't related to managed payments, but are supposed to take effect on the 20th of July. I'm hopeful that eBay will reconsider by then and either postpone or decide not to make these changes at all. One of these changes that concerns me, because it does happen, if you're a seller, you might fall below standard. Okay, so you have below standard, you have above standard, you have top rated seller plus. And so if you're like me, top rated seller, you don't have to worry about this. But if you're sort of teeter-tottering between below standard and above standard, this is going to concern you quite a bit. At least it concerns me, because as a seller, I'm here to help you guys. And it bothers me every time eBay wants to levy a penalty against someone. And this penalty is currently, if you're deemed as below standard, you currently have to pay an additional final value fee of 4% in addition to what you're already paying eBay. Okay, so as of the 20th of July, that's going up to 5%. Okay. As far as the other fees, if you are considered very high in item not as described for a particular category, every item you sell in that category where you're deemed as very high in returns or item not as described, you are going to be dinged an additional, not 4% as it is now, but 5% additional final value fees. And it just makes it more difficult for us sellers to succeed when they're doing this to us. So if we're already struggling to get to above standard, it's going to make it that much more difficult. Starting the 20th of July, eBay is going to charge a dispute fee. So now that they are the payment processor, as of the 20th of July, if they receive a chargeback, let's say a customer decides to buy an item from you, and instead of contacting you and asking you for a return, they decide to just go ahead and contact their bank directly and dispute the item as item not as described. Well, guess what happens? You're going to get a chargeback from eBay from the original form of payment, the credit card. Customer will, in many cases, get to keep the item, and that $100 item that you lost and now are giving a refund on, eBay is going to charge you a $20 dispute fee if the case is not found in your favor, which is horrible, okay? And it's something that sort of shocked me. I had to read it twice, but it definitely is in the list of changes that eBay is making. So another change that eBay is implementing come the 20th of July, if you either give out or ask for customer information, or you give your information to that customer through eBay messaging as it pertains to an item you're selling, and if it's perceived that you are taking that sale off of eBay, eBay has the right, according to this change that they're implementing, to charge you, your account, a final value fee on that item, okay, whether or not you sell that item or not. Let's say maybe customer contacts you, you enter a discussion about selling that item off of eBay, and let's say it goes through, or if it doesn't go through, eBay, seeing that conversation through their system, will then decide to charge you a final value fee. That is for fixed items. That is for auction items. I guess they'll determine what that item is valued at. I don't know exactly how they would figure that part of it out, or they would look at your buy it now price to determine what the final value fee would be. So this is new. I'm curious how they're going to do that, and I'm not happy about that. I don't sell stuff off of eBay, but again, it just, we're really being scrutinized as sellers, and just another slap in the face. So the final thing that I realized by looking at this policy update is that if you decide to cancel an auction early before it ends, eBay can charge you a final value fee on that item. So let's say you're a few days into an auction, you have a few bids on it, and let's just say for whatever reason you decide to just say, I don't want to sell it. Maybe you found another buyer somewhere. It doesn't matter. It's your item until it sells. But if you cancel that auction early, eBay will, now I don't know if it's an automatic thing, maybe it's based on the reason that you choose for the cancellation, but they will charge you a final value fee for that item. So these are some changes that are being made the 20th of July, and I got to tell you guys that it really bothers me, because the more and more we go down this road, I'm only seeing a picture of how eBay really is not putting a whole lot of care into its core business, and that's its sellers. But if you don't have good, dedicated sellers who are happy with the platform that they're selling on, it's only going to present problems, and you don't want to chase away that core business. And I hate to see eBay ruining that experience that we've had, and it's only getting worse for sellers. So, other platforms are out there. I'm definitely looking into it. I'm in my comfort zone with eBay, but definitely I don't know how much more of this I can take. And so, I've always said, at least recently I've said, that eBay doesn't seem to care one iota about their customers. And these changes, except for the one change with managed payments where they sort of bill you as you go, I don't see really any of these changes benefiting the seller at all. In fact, if anything, it benefits eBay's pocketbook. They're finding ways to take more money from us as sellers, and more fees, and it's just unacceptable. And so I wanted to share that information with you, and that way you're prepared. You have a month and a half to figure this out between now and the 20th of July to figure out if you're going to stay with eBay's platform as a seller, or if you're going to possibly decide to try to look for other places and ways to sell your merchandise. So what do you plan on doing with your eBay business? Are you going to stick with it, or are you going to look for another platform to list your items on? Maybe Amazon, Etsy, Poshmark, Mercari. Let us know in the comments section below. If you have some questions, maybe some information I haven't touched on, please also feel free to leave me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll reply. But I just want to thank you for taking the time out of your day or evening to watch this video. If you've gotten this far, please smash the like button. Please consider subscribing to my channel, because we are going to continue delivering messages like this so that as an eBay seller, you are more informed and aren't surprised by some of the things that eBay is doing now or in the future. We're going to give you a wide variety of content. We just did a pallet unboxing. We talk about eBay policies and things that just pertain to you as an eBay seller. So with that, I'm going to sign off, but I want to thank you for taking time to watch this video, and until next time, have a great rest of your day.